Welcome to Inspire, where we continue our conversations about love and share stories of inspiration. I am Patricia, and this is my co-host, Miji.
Thank you for being with us today, and I'm so excited. We have such a wonderful, wonderful guest with us today, my dear friend, Jeffrey Holbrook. Welcome, Jeffrey.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Thank you, ladies.
And Jeffrey, you're so young, but you have so many things that you do, and I find you an inspiration. Once Miji introduced me to you. So can you tell us just a little bit about what you're up to?
Thank you. So pretty much music has become something that's very, very, very big and prominent in my life, and able to figuring out a way to be of service to others through that. And I think music today is a very tricky path to navigate, because you have to kind of dive into all of the aspects of it in order to succeed, I feel like, or at least the level that I perceive that I have already succeeded at and will succeed at. So it's become something that I've really enjoyed diving deep into it, and the deeper that I dive, the more I start to learn about life, which is really what has been getting me so far, because it's the things that I learn about life are helping me personally, and it's also helping my music, and it's making me become a better person. And to be honest with you, the personal gains are what I am after the most. And so
you're talking about somewhat of a holistic approach. You said you need to, when you're working with music, there's other things that you need to do. Are you talking about the production and the writing, or are you talking about the technology when you're learning? You have to learn, what is it that?
Yeah, I think through history, I think if you look at people that have been successful in it, the technology has always kind of changed. So there's always been there. But I think it's the person, it's the personality, and it's the way that the individual acts that has kind of been consistent in a way. So it's like, find somebody that you idolize and figure out what they did.
Vince Gill.
Which is, for me, it's Brother Vince. So it's like, just find somebody who has already been there and figure out what they did right. And obviously we are who we are, and that's our gift. And when you act from the inside out, instead of the outside in, you're able to influence. And it's a very powerful thing, and it's pretty magical. So the more that I get into that, the more I don't know, the acceptance has been kind of flowing in lately, which is a very humbling thing, to say the least. So, but yeah.
Would you say, I know we talk a lot on this show too about, people and organizations, like there's so much inspiration there, but it's not always easy. Like there is some pain involved, and there is some challenges. And, would you say that it's important to go through those challenges and to, be grateful for them, is it, I think it's the outlook of the challenge, or looking back, or which isn't always easy when you're in the depth of it, when you're in the midst of something.
I think it's funny that you said that, because it's like when you're put into a challenging situation, and I'm just kind of speaking off of personal experience, but when you're put into a challenging situation, you have a choice, and nobody else can make you feel anxiety. It's you who makes you feel anxiety. It's yourself rather than somebody else. And I think when you realize that it's not, everything on the outside doesn't really quite determine much. It's the way that you react to things that determines everything.
Are you talking about mindset, feelings, beliefs?
Mindset, feelings, emotions. For example, like if you get cut off in traffic, and I say this, but it's like if you get cut off in traffic and you have that immediate choice to be like, you know what, maybe that person's having a bad day. And then you're able to just immediately let it go and go about your day, and then positive things happen because you chose to react to that situation in a positive light. Whereas if you get mad and you get rage, and then you start driving fast and you get anxiety, and then that builds, and it's the butterfly effect. And if you kind of nip it at the butt when it first starts, then it's amazing how it all just kind of dissipates. And you're able to build off of that. And it's that, I believe that it's the momentum, that's the momentum that you have to build off of. So it's the little things now that determine everybody's future. And
Wow.
we all have different stories, and we're all different, and it's important to realize that. Like we have different stories, but that's our gift, though. Like you said, like going through the hard times, it's like I go through hard times. I do, like on a very regular basis, and I have to constantly tell myself that I trust in something more than what's going on. And when I do that, I'm able to alleviate negative thoughts. And thoughts are and where focus goes, that's where the energy flows. So it's, if I focus on negative things, then I will be putting out negative energy, and then I will attract negative things into my life.
And your body kind of carries it. You ever watch
Yeah.
somebody who's negative and slumps? You can feel it in your body, and we talked a little bit about that when we talk about movement. As you know, Jeffrey and I are working some projects together, and we touch a little bit about the movement. So, but Jeffrey has a really, really amazing perspective on movement. So, will you share with us?
Yeah, movement, I feel like, knowledge is power, power is action, and action is how you heal. I think that's where the healing comes in. And the movement for me, it was funny because I started playing music at 19, and hockey was my life, and I put in my 10,000 hours for sure. I know I did with hockey, but it wasn't meant to be. And for a long time, I didn't really understand it. And then I remember I heard I Still Believe in You, the record by Vince Gill. And there was something to do with his guitar playing that moved me, his solos. There was something in it that just, I heard them a couple times, and it made me feel something in a time in my life when I didn't feel anything, or I didn't want to feel anything. Like I was very put away from my emotions, and I was not the best me that I could be, and I was blaming other people and stuff like that. So then I went on this journey to kind of figure out how he was able to make me feel what he made me feel when I listened to his music. And through, like, I did everything to try to sound like him, and then I eventually let it go. And I think that's an important part. I eventually was like, you know what, I'm not him. There's only one him. I have to be me. And then when I did that, I realized that I could actually come very close to the way that he plays through my movement. When I move my body like him, when he plays, and there's, like the way that he holds the bluegrass background, so through movement of my body, and also I had a really bad memory. I wasn't able to memorize my own lines, and I wasn't able to memorize like the chords and just the notes, but when I practiced and moved at the same time, and then I got up on stage and did the same movements, I was able to activate a different part of my brain, I believe, and I could remember everything.
Wow.
So and like the way that I go about music these days is very like off the cusp. I don't really believe, I believe in preparation. I believe that you have to prepare for what you see in your mind, because if you can see it in your mind, then it can become a reality for everybody else to see. But so through that movement, that's where the emotion is.
So being led by that divine, or feeling that moment, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
when you're
yeah.
in it, so.
Yeah, and I don't, like I said, I don't know if we're really supposed to understand certain things, but definitely that whole movement, and for some reason, I was just led down this path of just figuring out that movement, through your body movement, you can heal yourself, and you can heal others, and you can make others feel comfortable. Just depending on the way that you move, and it means a lot to me. And the more that I dive into it, the more that I'm starting to realize that it helps me, and it makes, like I said, it makes others around me feel comfortable, which for a long time I wasn't. I know that it was the opposite for a long time because I was expecting things of people, and I was, wasn't, like I said, I wasn't quite the best me. I wasn't working on myself. So through this movement, you're able to almost manipulate time and space. And I know that sounds kind of out there, but you're able to make your own destiny, if you will.
I think you call it the moments between
It's the space between the bars that hold the tiger in the cage.
Oh my
and
goodness, I love that.
And it's the space between the notes that make you feel the emotion. So it's not the note that makes you feel the emotion, but it's the time that I choose to have patience between the notes that push and pull your heart. And that's, and like I said, that was the whole through listening to Vince is just one example.
So Patty, I'm sure that you can relate to a lot of this when he's talking about time and space, when he's talking about movement. We forget he's as young as he is because we spend hours on the phone sometimes talking, but I know that your children play music as well, so I'm sure that you see some sort of correlation there.
Yeah, I'm fascinated you didn't pick up the guitar until 19. I know, like, my kids started young, and I see the difference in them. That I think it's very healing. I know I always played piano as a child, and it's very like I would just get lost in it. Like it would just so much stress, whatever was going on in my life as a little student with all my worries about grades, I could play the piano and just be completely lost. Yeah. In a different world. I know now that's sort of that meditation, that's that, the higher planes, and just kind of just letting go, really letting go. But I think what you're talking about is so intense and so profound because, and I've read that trauma is held in the body, so I can see how your theories about movement are
well, that connection
so
about
helpful.
Yeah, that connection about you're addressing the mind at the same time, but now and we've talked about this, science and therapy now went from a verbal into okay, we can't just look at the verbal, we need to look at the body and a more holistic approach. So when we're talking about all that, so it encompasses who you are at every perspective. You have your mind, you have your brain, you have your body, then you have your physiological responses, your emotional responses, and I think that you're talking about the way you respond to the stimuli that's coming your way, which is
for sure. So like the way that you respond is everything, and it doesn't have to be complicated.
So what do you think makes you respond the way you do? What led you there?
What led me there? I think what led me there is going to be different than what led everybody else there. It's just, for me, it was a speech impediment when I was younger, being very internalizing everything, having to control every situation, and then growing up and realizing that through wanting to control everything, I was not happy. And then I realized that, that life is perfect in the way that it is, but yet it's not perfect. And to be okay with that.
Acceptance.
And accepting. And acceptance is a difficult thing. Like it's people, that has taken me probably the longest amount of time to just accept what I have to offer somebody. And I think we all have a really great gift. I really do believe that, because if I can learn how to play guitar as fast as I've learned and do what I've done in the time, and to sacrifice the certain, and we all sacrifice. I mean, anybody who has succeeded knows that you have to sacrifice, to get to where you want to be. But at the same time, it's like there's also action in not doing anything at all, too, which is a kind of an interesting.
You have an interesting perspective on not doing. So I'm sure you're probably wondering.
Well, it's funny. It's like the person, like when you desire, like when you desire something and like you have like this burning like passion, it's not necessarily a healthy thing to have that, because then it creates like this competition in you, and then that creates anxiety, and then you get away from what's in here, and you start acting upon the outside things rather than worrying about yourself and worrying about how you can react to certain situations. And like I said, it's the moments that are now, like me, like us doing this and us talking about what we're talking about now, and but it's these moments now that will determine our future. So
where was he when we were when we were growing up, huh?
Yeah, because I believe that too, and it's hard to stay centered when there's so much going on around you. If you just can stay in your own center and self, and don't let everyone else's emotions impact you or sway you or make you react impulsively. So I think that's huge.
Well, that's kind of like the piano, like you were talking about, like playing piano. I mean, that's your way of staying centered, and that's your thing.
Yeah.
And that's nobody else's thing, but your thing.
So you're saying everyone has to kind of find what does that for them?
Yeah, everybody, and you have to be able to accept that. Be like, what I like is different than what you like, and it's different than what you like, and it's kind of like that. It's like the path that nobody has walked on yet. It's like the road that just has snow on it. There's no tire tracks or anything, and it's scary at first because no one's been down there. Nobody has been down that road yet, but there lies the gift, because nobody's been down there, and nobody can copy you. And like I said earlier, I was trying to play like Vince and trying to figure out all these things that he did, and it was amazing how when I let go of that, like immediately I was able to find
me. You discovered you.
Yeah, and it was, and it's just and being thankful and not holding any resent towards anybody else has a big factor in all that. You have to be happy with what you have now in order to be.
I so believe, and we talk about this, that I believe that everybody is destined for greatness. Everybody comes here just with everything that you need within yourself already, in perfection, in your own perfection. It just looks different for everyone else, so that it is our responsibility to look from within, figure out what kind of tools we have, and then go out and use them to share them, but share them, and togetherness. I really believe that. So I think that the more we send the message that I don't have to look like you, or like you, or operate like you or somebody else, I can just do it my own way. That's where the gift is, and which I think it's what you're talking about. And there's such richness in that. I know that Patty and I have some deep conversations. She too is very spiritual, and she's been doing many things in the
like energy.
Yeah, and in the fields of advocacy. I know that we have a social component for some of the projects that we do, but she also does the same thing, and it's just that desire to be of service, but to share who you are, that feeling.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
I think that's great. I think it's correct. I think that just being ourselves and not trying to be so aggressively, like you said, having that passion can be a little dangerous, because then you might even focus on what you don't have yet, and instead of being grateful for what you have right in this moment. Yeah. So I truly agree that just shining and doing what's good for you, because we're not all made exactly alike, and the world wouldn't function if we all did the same exact thing and looked the same exact way.
It would be a pretty boring place.
Well, and you were talking about if you go and look and compare yourself to somebody else, immediately what happens?
Yeah,
you just go down, just like, oh, are you kidding me? Where am I? Look at all these people doing that, and I know that I can do that, but when you use that measurement, when you take out that stick or that ruler, whatever it is, to compare yourself to somebody else, you're doomed.
Yeah.
Okay, I've done it. I think we've all done it at one time or another, and it's just that realization that, my gosh, who cares? It doesn't that like they're here. Like, you're here to live your own journey. So are you, and I'm here to live mine. So I don't need to live yours, and I don't need to look at you to mirror mine, to just decide what mine's going to look like. And I don't think that we learn that young enough. I don't think that we learn that when it matters. I don't think that we learn that when we're in preschool, or we're always being told that, no, stay there, and oh my gosh.
I do think that this generation is the up and coming, our kids, they seem to be a little more out of the box. Like, I think that they're resisting a little bit more to the norms, you know. There's so many kids with autism, with special needs, and they can't be contained, you know.
Correct.
So I understand.
But there's also a movement, right?
Yeah.
That a movement from people, our generation and older, who want to make sure that is taking all the mindfulness, all the presence, all the messages, positivity, compassion. So I think it's a conglomerate of approaches that are coming down that this generation is fortunate enough to say, oh, okay. And we taught that, but you figure it out on your own also, because the way we're doing it didn't work for you. So what do you think?
I think that's the case. There's a lot of different, I think, factors into what's happening now, because I think there is a change in the world. So what are you doing now? I know that you have you're sharing your music with others. It's impacting other people. You have followers, and so maybe you want to talk a little bit about what's going on with you.
Yeah, I try to dabble in as much things as I can in moderation. So I have my own music that I do, and we're coming out with "The Mountains Are Calling," which is the title of the album, and it's coming out soon. We just finished mixing. It's going to mastering. So when I go back to Nashville, which will be on Saturday, I'll get the mixes sent over to the mastering guy, and then that'll be taken care of. And then we're going to release one song every month. I think there's like eight tracks on it.
Is that the one you're playing for us today?
I'll be playing one. Yeah, I'll be playing the latest. Actually, it was the latest song that I written. We wrote it. I wrote it with my buddy Baker Grissom, and it was the last song. We wrote it the first time that I wrote with him, and I love the song. It kind of said exactly what I wanted it to say about life, and yeah, that's on there. And the album ranges from everything from bluegrass to, there's bagpipes on it, there's electric guitar on it, there's upright bass, there's everything. You know, I wanted it to be a very broad, eclectic assortment of music and emotions, because I just wanted to tackle as many things as. I think growing up in Jersey, I was exposed to everything. You know, my dad listened to Bruce Springsteen. I played on hockey teams with guys that it was country music, and sometimes I would be in the locker room and I would have like rap playing or something like that. And so, you know, but that was my choice. I remember when I moved to Nashville, everybody was, you know, moved to Nashville. And the first little bit, I was trying to write for other people, and I was trying to do things for other people. And I was just getting really bogged down in it. And I eventually, at one point, I moved away. I remember I went up to Kentucky, and I was a plumber on the military base up there. We were building the new high school or something like that. And I ended up moving home, and I gave it up, and somehow it came back into my life. And then when I went back, I was like, you know what, I'm going to make it a point to do it my way this time and not anybody else's way. So, yeah, so I've got that going on. I also play guitar for Bonner Black, who, if you guys have not listened to her stuff yet, she's amazing. She writes all of her own stuff, and we met at a publishing house one night, and I remember just listening to her music and just immediately having that sense of like, you need to play guitar for her. Like whatever it happens, you need to play guitar for her. So we've been doing our thing, and I've played with her. We were together for like 2 years, and then I left for a little bit to go kind of take care of my own stuff. But her music was led back into my life, and And to be honest with you, out of everything that I do, I love being a musician the most. I love being the guy that just stands off to the side of the stage and lets somebody else shine.
Well, will you share a song with us?
Yeah, sure. There just happens to be a guitar right here. It just happens to be a guitar right here.
I made him bring it. I'm like, come on, you gotta bring it. He's like,
yeah, I wrote this one with Baker Grissom. It's called Young, and I did remember all of the lyrics. I hope you guys like it. Life don't need explain, so why do I keep trying to? Maybe I should be a little more thankful for every gift I ever got out of the blue. When am I gonna realize I got it all right here? When am I gonna figure out it's the journey up the mountain that's worth all the years? Quit looking back, quit looking up, quit cussing myself every time I got stuck, and quit growing old and just be young. Things, they happen for a reason. Don't I always know in time? Everything that I have ever needed has always been right there for me to find. Yes, it has. When am I gonna realize I got it all right here? When am I gonna figure out it's the journey up the mountain that's worth all the years? Quit looking back, quit looking up, quit cussing myself every time I got stuck, and quit growing old and just be young. Young. When am I gonna realize I got it all right here? When am I gonna figure out it's the journey up the mountain that's worth all the years? Quit looking back, quit looking up, quit cussing myself every time I got stuck, and quit growing old and just be young. Quit growing old and just be young.
way to end this segment. Oh, you were fantastic. My body was everywhere.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Ladies,
thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
And you can be found on Facebook. if anyone wants to look into more.
Facebook, social media, all those social media
Jeff
things on there.
Holbrook.
Jeff Holbrook, yes, exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you for having
We're
me.
so honored to have you here.
Appreciate it.
And thank you for joining us today on Inspire. See you next time, and we'll share more stories that we hope will inspire you.
Life don't need explaining, so why do I keep trying to? Maybe I should be a little more